of the Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, founding pastor of Canaan Baptist Church of Christ in the village of Harlem, and the first chairman of the board of National Action Network. We have a great program for you this morning, and we welcome all of you who will be with us on this Saturday morning. Our president and founder is the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. The chairman of our board is the Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor of Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm attorney Michael Hardy. On the program this morning is Arnold Penix. Arnold is the chairperson of the Arts and Culture Committee and will be bringing some on-air announcements. Our civil rights highlight will be brought by Brother James Gray. He's an advisor to the Youth Huddle here in the New York City chapter. In the House segment, of course, in the House is about the work of the committees in the House of Justice, where the action happens 24/7. Dominique Johnson is the president of the NAN Youth Huddle. Arnold Penix, Reverend Dr. McCall, our crisis director, will be here. Minister Kirsten John Foy, our Northeast Regional Director, and of course, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. So call somebody, tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. But right now, Arnold Penix with some on-air announcements.
Good morning, NAN family. This is Arnold Penix, aka A. Gregory Harris, and these are the NAN announcements. NAN has launched weekly action alerts. Every Friday, NAN will release an action alert via our website on what NAN is working on and how you and your friends and families can get into the action and join us on the front lines for justice and equality. Here are some of the things this week to be in the know with NAN. NAN remembers founding chairman. National Action Network remembers the life and work of Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, who served as the founding chairman of National Action Network. Dr. Walker, who was the executive director and chief of staff for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, helped to structure NAN in its formative years. He became chairman of the board in 1993. A native of Bristol, Massachusetts, Dr. Walker was the longtime pastor of Canaan Baptist Church in Harlem. He was an iconic figure in New York and beyond, serving as a special assistant on urban affairs to New York Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller. Dr. Walker and Dr. King met in the early 1950s when the two were students. Dr. Walker was enrolled in Virginia Union University, and Dr. King was a student at Crozer Theological Seminary. A prolific writer and expert on gospel music, Dr. Walker served on the faculties of New York Theological Seminary, Union Theological Seminary in New York, Princeton Theological Seminary, and United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio, where he was also the interim dean of doctoral studies. The passing of Dr. Wyatt T. Walker marks the transition of one of the greatest social justice and theological minds of our time, said Reverend Al Sharpton, who remained close to the preacher throughout the years. While I'm saddened by his passing, I am committed to carrying on his legacy. It is both a personal and global loss to me. During his first visit in New York following his release from South Africa prison, Nelson Mandela visited Canaan Baptist Church, where he was greeted by Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, and Dr. Walker. Register now for the NAN Convention. It is not too early to register for our biggest convention ever, making 50 years since the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We will measure the state of the dream and where the movement is heading. Don't miss out. Sign up today at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Legal Night off to a strong start. Legal Night with attorney Michael A. Hardy and friends kicked off 2018 at the National Action Network's House of Justice in Harlem on Thursday. Legal Night attorneys were on hand to answer questions from a packed audience. Be sure to join us every fourth Thursday of every month here at the House of Justice in Harlem, New York at 6 p.m. Legislative alerts, DACA talks off in slow start. Senators are sparring over funding for President Donald J. Trump's border wall and what qualifies as border security in the newest round of negotiations that kicked off Tuesday. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democratic New York, has withdrawn what Republicans say was a $25 billion offer to find the border wall. The clock is ticking. The next funding deadline is February 8th, and President Trump has set March 5th as the date the Obama-era Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program ends. The bipartisan group of senators who helped end the three-day shutdown are now focused on a deal to protect dreamers from deportation. But it won't be easy. Pennsylvania Supreme Court tossed out congressional map. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court tossed out the state's congressional map on Monday, throwing members and candidates into chaos, potentially boosting Democrats' chances to win the House majority this fall. The state Supreme Court ruled that the House map clearly, plainly, and palpably violates the state constitution and must be redrawn in the next 3 weeks after Democrats sued and alleged that Republicans unreasonably gerrymandered the districts to give the GOP a partisan advantage. If the legislature is going to redraw the lines, lawmakers must move fast. The court ruled a new map must be submitted by the GOP-controlled legislature to Democratic Governor Tom Wolf by February 9th, and that Wolf must sign it by February 15th. If the legislature and Wolf can't agree on a map by the middle of the next month, the ruling prescribes that it be drawn by the courts with the parties to the lawsuit invited to submit proposals before then. Democrats think a new map strengthens the party's chances to gain seats this year. Republicans, looking to cut their losses, could target 2 districts. Despite the court's ruling, the PA-18 special on March 13th will continue under the old district lines. Government shutdown. The short-lived shutdown is over, but the deal lawmakers reached Monday to reopen the federal government lasts only a few weeks and includes a new deadline, February 8th. That's when the government, again, will run out of money, and the date by which Democrats say they want to see a vote on a bill to preserve the Obama-era Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, which provides work permits and deportation protections for hundreds of thousands of undocumented individuals brought to this country as children. Education groups are split on the agreement because it did not include a clear DACA solution. On the other hand, the deal funds for another 6 years the Children's Health Insurance Program, which ran out of money in September and will keep federal funding flowing to the popular programs like Head Start. Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican Kentucky, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democratic New York, agreed to end the shutdown and continue to negotiate on immigration and spending matters. If a border deal is not reached by February 8th, the government remains open, and the Senate would take a legislation to protect so-called dreamers if the government remains open. Schumer said that the deal means the Republican majority now has 17 days to prevent the dreamers from being deported. AT&T pushes Internet Bill of Rights. CEO Randall Stephenson is out with an ad urging congressional action on net neutrality that will apply to all internet companies, including the tech giants AT&T, and faced off against the long-term running debate in the issue. This so-called Internet Bill of Rights would guarantee neutrality, transparency, openness, non-discrimination, and privacy protections for all internet users. Legislation would not only ensure consumers' rights are protected, but it would provide consistent rules of the road for all internet companies across all websites, content, devices, and applications. Florida's move to restore voting rights for formerly incarcerated. Floridians will get to decide in November whether they want to amend the state constitution to automatically restore voting rights to felons once they complete their sentences. a move that could significantly expand the franchise to over 1.5 million people. Florida election officials verified Tuesday that organizers had gathered enough petitions to put the referendum on the ballot this year. Just gathering those signatures was a Herculean task for the grassroots efforts, where Florida law requires the organizers to gather 200 signatures, equal to 8% of the votes cast in the last presidential election. Within that month, organizers also had to collect 8% of the presidential vote totals from 14 of the state's 27 congressional districts. If approved, the Florida voters, the ballot initiative would eliminate that process by automatically restoring voting rights to people who complete all terms of their sentence. The amendment would not restore voting rights to people convicted of murder or sexual offenses. Be sure to watch NAN's president and founder, Reverend Sharpton, live on MSNBC every Sunday morning on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, Sunday is tomorrow. Reverend Al will be on the tube at 8 a.m. live. Wake up and get into the action. Welcome to all of you who have joined us live here at the House of Justice, and also via live streamed at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. If this is your first time joining us, and or if you are not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get into the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit www.nationalactionnetwork.net, call 877-626-4651, or text the word NAN to 59769. Welcome.
Our civil rights highlight this morning is by Brother James C.B. Gray, advisor to the NAN Youth Huddle. And you know the CB is Cool Breeze Gray.
Good morning, listeners and viewers, and welcome back to the Saturday Morning Action Rally broadcast here at the National Action Network House of Justice. My name is James C.B. Gray, and today's civil rights highlight is about the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker. The Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker, who served as an architect of the early civil rights campaign in the South, as senior pastor of Canaan Baptist Church in Christ, and also the original chairman of the National Action Network, has passed this week, and although we are still in mourning over the loss of such a great soul, it's only right that we honor him as we reflect on his legacy. Walker, who managed to sneak a camera into the Birmingham jail to capture the iconic photo of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that would later accompany King's famous letter from Birmingham jail, was an executive director and chief of staff for Martin Luther King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference from 1961 to 1964. Pastor of the historic Canaan Baptist Church of Christ in Harlem for 37 years, Walker was an iconic figure in New York and beyond, serving as special assistant on urban affairs of New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller. Prior to his installation as pastor at Canaan in 1968, which was officiated by Martin Luther King shortly before he was assassinated in Memphis, Walker also served as assistant minister at Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem as well. Walker and King met in the early 1950s while Walker was a student at Virginia Union University, and King was enrolled at Crozet Theological Seminary. As an official with the SCLC, Walker served multiple roles, including spearheading boycotts in Birmingham, Alabama, and serving as this official spokesperson for the civil rights organizations that King and other preachers founded in 1957. Born the same year as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend Walker had 50 more years than his former SCLC colleague to carry out his earthly work. A native of Brockton, Massachusetts, Walker earned a Master's of Divinity degree from Virginia Union and a doctorate from Colgate Rochester Divinity School. A prolific writer and expert in gospel music, Walker served on the faculties of New York Theological Seminary, Union Theological Seminary, Princeton Theological Seminary, and the United Theological Seminary of Dayton, Ohio, where he was also interim dean of doctoral studies. The passing of Dr. Wyatt T. Walker marks the transition of one of the greatest social justice and theological minds of our times, said Reverend Al Sharpton, who remained close to Walker throughout his years. While I'm saddened by his passing, I am committed to carrying out his legacy. It is both a personal and global loss to me. Walker served as the first chairman of the National Action Network, the civil rights organization that Reverend Sharpton founded in 1991. In a book on Nan's history, written by Jamal Watson, Dr. Walker is quoted as saying the following about Nan. When I got involved, Nan was still just an idea, Walker recalled. I helped to give the organization some infrastructure. I helped to fund the organization out of my own pocket. Thank you.
In the House segment is brought this morning by Dr. Alvin Ponder. Dr. Ponder is the Vice President of the New York City chapter and heads up the AIDS work here at National Action Network. In the House, Dr. Alvin Ponder.
Thank you, Attorney Harding. That was a beautiful tribute, Brother Gray, Reverend Wyatt T. Walker. And he has inspired me to do some of the social justice work that we're doing here at the House of Justice. Doing this in the House segment, I have the pleasure of telling you a little bit about my committee, the Committee on HIV and AIDS. This chapter, the New York City chapter, is one of over 100 chapters throughout the country. We're called the flagship chapter. This chapter has the founder and president, Reverend Al Sharpton. The chairman of the board is Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson. And it was Reverend Wyatt T. Walker that was the first chairman of the board. Let me tell you a little bit about our committee as I give honor to the chair of the New York City chapter, Brother Bill Griffin. The HIV/AIDS Committee was in action this week, early this Monday. Over 400 activists, advocates, people living with AIDS, public health suppliers or providers were in Albany to fight for increased funding for Governor Andrew Cuomo's End the AIDS Epidemic campaign. I was there and ran into some of my friends who are elected officials. And then later on, we had, during this legislative day, we went to the various assembly persons and senators, and we spoke to them about the funding that we're asking for. One of the key pieces of funding that we're looking at is to increase the housing provisions upstate. Right here in New York City, we're the only jurisdiction within the country, the only jurisdiction that if you are living with HIV, through HACA, you are able to get benefits for nutrition, food stamps, benefits for transportation, a Metro card, and rental assistance, $1,500. But you can't do that upstate, okay? And upstate's not too far. When I'm saying upstate, now I lived in New Rochelle in Mount Vernon, and they don't have the same benefits in New York City, right across the street from where I lived in Co-op City, if they have HIV. Oh, you didn't hear me. There's a 30% cap here in New York City to protect your income. The single greatest predictor for health is housing. We know that. But right across the street from where I used to live, they don't have the same benefits. And so we were up in Albany talking about that. Now, what are we going to be doing? Well, we got a big convention coming up, as you know, April 18th to 21st. I got some, if you're coming down to the House of Justice at 106 West 145th Street, I know you're in your car, and you're thinking that you're in the area. If you're coming on down, come on down. Come on and join the National Action Network. Or you can call 877-626-4651, 877-626-4651. Don't write it down if you're in the car. 877-626-4651. And come on down and join us. Give Reverend Sharpton your hand. We're going to be signing up people for the convention right now. Personally, if you would like to know, I'm consulting right now with one of the leading epidemiologists in the state and some of the leading activists, and I am putting a proposal myself for a program at the convention regarding HIV/AIDS that will look at equity, not equality, equity, okay? If we have the same standards and we have disparity and apply the same standards, we will not have equality. Thank you so very much. Join the HIV/AIDS committee. Thank you.
Well, if it's Saturday, our musical director, Bavon Neal, is in the house.
Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh, hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, oh, somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, what shall I do? It sounds like Jesus. Somebody's calling my name. Oh, it sounds like Jesus. Somebody's calling my name. It sounds like Jesus. Somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, what shall I do? I'm so glad that trouble don't last always. Oh, I'm so glad that trouble don't last always. I'm so glad that trouble don't last always. Oh, my Lord, what shall I do? Oh, hush, hush, oh, 'cause somebody's calling my name. Oh, hush, hush, 'cause somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, oh, somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, 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 what shall I do? What shall I do?
Bavon Neal, our musical director. You're listening to the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally, coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York, streaming to you at www.nationalactionnetwork.net in the 10 o'clock hour on the Impact Television Network, and here live in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Arnold Penix, Arts and Culture.
Good morning, NAN family. This is Arnold Penix, AKA A. Gregory Harris, and this is the NAN Arts and Culture Report. Now, save the date, The Peacemaker by award-winning playwright Arnold Penix will be presented as a dinner theater production here at the House of Justice in Harlem, USA, 106 West 145th Street, April 4th, 2018, 7 p.m. For more information, contact Arts and Culture Chairman Arnold Penix. PenixArnold@gmail.com or Arnold_Penix@yahoo.com, or call 929-227-9295. Celebrate the dream 50 years later on the day His life was taken by an assassin's bullet April 4th, 1968. Each New York City chapter committee will have a table and for the proceeds, and the proceeds will go to that committee. So what I'm going to be doing is setting up tables for all of the committees, the 23 that we have, and this way we should all pull together. And whether you participate or not, I'm going to still be donating money to your committee because I'm going to be going out and soliciting and getting people to support this monumental event here, Dinner Theater, here at the House of Justice, in tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on the very anniversary day. And of course, you'll be ready and primed for the convention, which is the whole theme is based on the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So come and see the show and be a part of it. Have some good food, some good old soul food, because that's what King liked. Catfish, pig's feet, chitlins, he liked all that stuff. And definitely I'm gonna eat a little bit of that too. Okay, the next thing is Nan's Got Talent. And Nan's Got Talent is this Wednesday, the 31st. Join the NAM Performing Activists on January 31st, 2018, here at the House of Justice. Now, the talent screening will begin at 6:30, and the live stream talent Facebook Live streaming will be 7:15. So if you want to be a part of that, you have to come to past Judge Harris, which is myself, and I will screen you and see if you're ready to go internationally, go across the world on Facebook Live. The comic lawyers are Deborah Larissa and Minister James Clemens, who will be the defense attorney, and Deborah Larissa will be the prosecuting attorney, trying to convince the jury, which will be you, the NAN members who will come. So if you will be making jury selection on that night, so if you're going to come in, we'd love for you to be a part of the NAN House of Justice, NAN's Got Talent jury. Okay, so don't put that in your calendar, and that's the date. So and that's the end of that. Now, finally, the Black arts community came out showed out at the 1st Corinthians Baptist Church Monday, January 22nd, in the support of the Wiz choreographer George Faisons and his life partner Ted, better known as T. He was, it was a wonderful event for all of the artists, the Black artists in the community, people such as Oprah Winfrey, Gail was there, Bill Cosby, Felicia Rashad, Tashina Arnold, Brian Stokes Mitchell, and the list goes on and on and on, Lilias White, just to name a few, Ralph Carter, so the event was a real send up and a tribute to the Black arts in the Harlem community and the world. So definitely I was there and there to support and because I knew T and I knew, and of course George produced my play Judgment Day, The Life and Afterlife of Tupac Shakur in the Firehouse. So I was very, very excited to be there for him. And then we went on down to we walked up from there, from 1 Corinthians, right up to the Firehouse. And of course, there was a reprise. Now, I was on a fast, but I broke the fast because where I come from down south, when you go to a homecoming, you can't sit there and watch people eat. You got to eat. So I didn't want to be rude and disrespectful. So, I had to tell my bishop that I said, well, I haven't told him yet, but I guess he know now that I have broken my fast, but I'm back on it, so definitely I'm calm and cool and everything of that nature, and try to look fabulous for you here at the House of Justice. And that's the NAN Arts and Culture Report, and I'm A. Gregory Harrison, you're not. Thank you.
15 seconds, and I can't resist on that. I'll only fast between meals. We're back, brothers and sisters. We welcome you to the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally, coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York, streaming to you at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We're here live in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. Of course, in the 10 o'clock hour, we'll also be on the Impact Television Network. Right now, our crisis director, Minister Kevin McCall, who heads up our crisis department here at National Action Network. That's why we are 24/7, always ready for when someone is in need of help and assistance. You just call 877-626-4651, and the crisis department, headed up by Reverend Kevin McCall, will be there to answer your call. Reverend Kevin McCall.
Good morning, National Action Network. Good morning, National Action Network. All right, it's good to be here another Saturday here at the National Action Network. I want to thank those who are listening to us at WLIB 1190 and those who are watching us at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have been very busy in the crisis department helping those who needs some kind of justice or faces any kind of injustices. We have crisis directors and chapters across this country. So whether you're in Atlanta, California, Virginia, or right here in New York City, you can be able to get help from the National Action Network Crisis Department by calling 877-626-4651, and someone from that crisis department will be able to help you, guide you with any crisis that you have. This week in the crisis department, I dealt with a case by the name of a gentleman by Joseph Foster. Joseph Foster was an inmate at Rikers Island Correctional Facility, and they have failed him. They left him for dead for 3 hours, right in the facility. They didn't call medical personnel. They didn't call the hospital. He was gasping for air, and he died right in the jail cell. The family is calling for an investigation. His funeral service is today. I will be attending and preaching the funeral for Mr. Joseph Foster, but they need answers. We need to know why that we pay the tax dollars of the correction department and why they did not receive any medical assistance. Just because you're in jail, that doesn't mean you are left for dead. That doesn't mean that you should be neglected. That should not mean that you just be able to sit there and rot in a jail cell. That's why they have the infirmary. That's why they have hospitals, to be able to get the services that you need, whether it's medical or any kind of other services that you need. So we are going to continue to be able to support that family, and we want to keep that Foster family in prayer as they continue to fight for justice for their loved one. Also this week, I attended 9 court sessions of dealing with housing issues. Housing has been the #1 issue, not just New York City housing, but private housing as well. And we must continue to be able to fight the powers that be to be able to deal with these issues that we face on a daily basis. The court system has been very helpful to be able to help those who do not have legal assistance, but providing an attorney for free if they need any kind of help regarding their case. So before you go before a judge, you can be able to see an attorney for free in any part of New York City, in any court and housing court. And you don't have to pay anything. You can just go there, whether it's for order show calls, whether it's for any of the assistance that you need, whether it's regarding your rent. There's lawyers right on hand in the court building to be able to help you and guide you. And I attended a session with an attorney because we want to make sure that everything goes right in the courtroom. Just because you have right counsel, sometimes the attorney doesn't want to listen to what you're saying because they have a big caseload. But they have contacted the National Action Network, and we was able to restore them back into the apartment, to get them extension into their apartment so they at least will not expire. This is what the National Action Network is all about. It's helping those who do not have a voice. This is what the National Action Network is about, is able to turn light on dark issues. So if you ever need us, if you're ever in a crisis, if you're in a crisis right now, you can call us at 1-877-626-4651, and someone from the crisis department will be able to help you and guide you with your crisis. Thank you for joining us another Saturday here at the National Action Network.
Our Northeast Regional Director is Minister Kirsten John Foy. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. It's good to be with you another Saturday here at the House of Justice, located at 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. If you're not physically present with us, you're most certainly listening to us live on New York's gospel station, WLIB 1190 AM. If you're not listening to us, you're not with us, you're most certainly watching us live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. If you're doing none of the above, maybe you're jet lagged from getting off your private jet, from coming back from the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, and you're just a little tired, but that's all right. You need to roll over, turn the light on, and get into the action. We have had, as always, a very busy week. But before we get into that, I want to add my name to the list of thousands and tens of thousands who are celebrating the life and the legacy of Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker. Reverend Dr. Walker was a giant among men. His legacy and his work extended far beyond his own generation. It extended into generations behind him. I remember marching with Dr. Walker for the first time in 1997 for the Abner Louima case. We marched across the Brooklyn Bridge together. And that was an impressive time for me, and he left an indelible impression upon me, and I'm ever grateful to the Lord for sending him to us to assist Dr. King in his work, and then to help lead and guide and work with our president and mentor and founder, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. And it is in that continuity that we find legacy, and we appreciate and celebrate the life of Dr. Walker. This week, there have been a lot of issues around NYCHA. There have been a lot of issues in this past several months coming to the surface around public housing. Whether we're talking about lead, or we're talking about heating, or we're talking about roofs, what we're really talking about is the systemic neglect, the intergenerational systemic neglect by the federal government and the state government and the city government of our public housing. For decades, the largest public housing system in the country was denied the adequate funding to maintain itself. So we have seen a deteriorating housing stock for decades. Many of our family members have grown up intergenerationally in public housing and have seen and eyewitnessed for themselves the deterioration of our housing stock. For decades, billions of dollars, billions with a B, have been denied our public housing. We have now reached a point where the infrastructure is crumbling. We have reached a critical mass of deterioration, and we're seeing all of it happen at one time. But it is important to put into context the reason that we have a turnaround plan coming from Shola Olataye, the current chairwoman of NYCHA, is because for 50 years, they were siphoning money off and denying the billions of dollars that were necessary. You cannot now say that the first black woman to lead the largest public housing stock in the nation is responsible for 50 years of neglect. We are not here to apologize for any mishaps, mismanagement, misinformation. But I'm also not going to allow a black woman to be scapegoated for the decades' actions of white males in their neglect of our housing stock. Y'all are not going to transfer responsibility for the condition of public housing from the people in Washington and in Albany and in City Hall who failed to provide the necessary funding for decades. And now a black woman comes in, is doing her best to turn around the biggest public housing ship in the ocean, and y'all want her to do it on a dime. And when you hit a few big waves, then it's time to get rid of the captain. Y'all would not be saying that if it was someone else, if they looked like someone else, maybe if they were of another gender. I'm telling y'all today, I'm not an apologist for anybody, but I'm certainly not going to allow in this day and age a black woman to be scapegoated and her leadership to be undermined because others don't want to accept responsibility for the failures that led up to this point. We need to give her the time to execute her plan. She needs to clean house of all the liars and the people who are trying to undermine her leadership from within. And the people around us and around her who have an interest in the condition of public housing need to roll up their sleeves, put their shoulders to the plow, and let's figure out how to help this black woman save public housing, not how to destroy her career. The opinions expressed are those of my own. But on a serious note, we have to deal with the issues of lead paint, of lead in housing, of deteriorating housing stock, of the lack of heat. But you can't do that with a smile. You can't replace infrastructure with a smile. You replace infrastructure with dollars. So let's help Shola get the money she needs to turn around NYCHA like we all know it needs to be turned around. God bless you, National Action Network. It's good to be with you another Saturday, and we will see you this week.
The Change Choir.
Holy
That's the Change Choir. Brothers and sisters, you're listening to the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally, coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York. Today's broadcast is in the loving memory of the Reverend Dr. Wyatt T. Walker. The Reverend Sharpton is on deck and will be with us right after this break. All right. Bill Griffin, president of the Men's Auxiliary and the chairperson of the New York City chapter.
Good morning, good morning. Dolores Scott, if you're in the house, would you please come up front? Dolores Scott. Okay. Thank you. What kind of education are our children getting? Charter schools versus traditional public schools is the subject of the debate to be held here at the House of Justice at 12 noon on Saturday, February the 24th, 2018. Please tell all your friends to come out and join us. The men of the National Action Network New York City chapter, Men's Auxiliary, invite you to join the debate. Be a part of the shaping and choosing our future to uplift our people so that all may know justice and our children may know peace. Hope to see you on February the 24th, and please bring a friend. Please save the date, Saturday, February the 10th, 2018, and join the Deaf Club's 10 years of active community service in the city of New York from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. here at the House of Justice. We sincerely hope you will put the date on your calendar and be ready to join us for the anniversary banquet celebrating a very special occasion with the deaf community. NAN is still the first civil rights organization to have a known active deaf and hard of hearing component. For further information, please contact Chris Dudley at 917-816-3505 or the House of Justice at 212-690-3070. The Computer Basic and Digital Literacy course here at the House of Justice is now open for enrollment. This course is about learning computer basics, keyboarding and word processing, skills for writing simple letters and emails. You will also learn Google application systems, internet basics, and prepare for future studies using Google and internet. Classes are held here, right here at the House of Justice on Friday evening from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. here at the House of Justice, of course. You may call Laura Dowdell at 973-444-4788, or you may see me after the rally for further information or to enroll, or you may call the House of Justice at 212-690-3070. The Men's Auxiliary will meet at 11:30 today right here at the House of Justice. The Youth Huddle and Uniting Dreamers to Develop, Lead, and Empower meet every Monday here at the House of Justice from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Dinner is served. For further information, please contact nanyouthhuddle@gmail.com or www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Chris Dudley will receive the 2018 Sojourner Truth Award from the Laurelton Club of the National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Club Incorporated on March the 24th, 2018. The award ceremony will take place at Anton's Caterers. That's located at 96-43 Springfield Boulevard, Queen Village, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Congratulations to Chris Dudley. Now, Don Jones, Chair of the Political Action Committee. Don Jones.
Greetings, House of Justice, and happy Saturday. On a sad note, condolences to Jay Walker and the family of Reverend Wyatt T. Walker, first chairman of the National Action Network Board of Directors, Canaan Baptist Church, and Guilford Baptist Church in Petersburg, Virginia. Best wishes, congratulations to NAN's own Jamie Bland, sworn in as Deputy Mayor of Paterson, New Jersey. The National Action Network New York City Chapter Political Action Committee will meet on today right here at the House of Justice, Saturday, January 27, 2018 at 11 o'clock a.m. immediately following the rally. Have a blessed weekend. Thank you for your announcements. That concludes the National Action Network announcements. Peace, justice, and blessings.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
We're back, brothers and sisters. You're listening to the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally, coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM, and we are here live in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody, tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house. I'd like you to get on your feet right now for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. 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 Hug the person next to you. Tell them you love them. National Action Network Change Choir, give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning. For you that are here in the auditorium at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the Village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, we are happy to be with you another Saturday morning where the action is. Give a hand to our presiding attorney, Michael Hardy, our regional director of the Northeast NAN, Minister Kirsten John Fort. And we will be live on Impact Television in 8 minutes. We're dedicating this broadcast to the legacy and celebratory life of our first chairman of the board, the late, great Wyatt T. Walker. And I have a lot more I'm going to say about him, but I want to wait till we're on national television because it's a national gospel station, and he was a giant in that field. Let me say, as we get ready, though, get ready for my whole message today, I want to say that in our local New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut area, we are gearing up now at the end of our January drive for membership. We've asked people in this year, it's not enough to complain about Trump. We have to do some work. And even if you are not out there at the rallies or at the meetings, the least you can do is be a member and support of an organization that is. Some folk don't do nothing but yell at the radio and TV. I have a radio show that I do every day. Television show I do at least once a week, my own show, and on other shows through the week. And I can tell you that don't nobody know what you yelling at them when they're in the studio on radio and TV. We'll hear none of that. You got to be involved, and you got to support those involved. So you that are listening on LIB, if you have not joined National Action Network in 2018, don't tell me you joined 5 years ago. That was 5 years ago. If you've not got a 2018 membership, call right now 1-877-626-4651. 1-877-626-4651, or go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, nationalactionnetwork.net, and join, be a part. All of you that have joined, all of you that have been members, you need to ask people when you see them, let me see your membership card. I'm with Rev. Well, let me see your membership card. And I want everybody up to date because we have serious battles that we need to be geared up for this year. I was in a meeting on yesterday, Governor David Patterson and former State Controller Carl McCall and others, Attorney Hardy and I thought about how many of the groups that we have seen down through the years are gone. And many of our great grassroots activists gone. That's one of the reasons we are working so diligently to have a civil rights museum, because we need to have a place that our children can see displays and research on what happened in our community. Most of our kids don't even know who Jesse Gray was in the rent strikes and what a lot of these things are. But I thank God that we are in March 26 years old, and for 26 years we met every Saturday, never missed one. So folk didn't have to guess where we are, they knew where we were. Been on the air every Saturday morning, informing the community, fought every issue. There is a difference. Y'all know I work out every morning before dawn. There's a difference between training to be a sprinter and training to be a marathon runner. Sprinter just go run 50 yards, and that's good. But a marathon runner got to train for the long haul. And everybody you see sprinting, they got the Grammys in town. A lot of artists you see go across that stage, you're not gonna see again till you see them on Unsung on TV One. I've been on everything from 60 Minutes to Meet the Press to Soul Train, but I try my best never to get on Unsung. That's one show I don't want to make. But a lot of them will be up there skinning and grinning tomorrow night. You will see them on Unsung. About 10 years talk about, well, you wouldn't know what happened was. And I made them, just because somebody is hot for a minute, that does not mean they're going to last. Now, the way you last is one, it's got to be about more than you. And two, you got to deal with an eternal message that is not about you. Some folks, you can't talk to them with everything they say is I, me. Did you know what I did it and me? And it never shifts. If you are not able to think beyond the frame of your body, then you will not last. So I want us to really support and know that this is something that you ought to be a member of, because we're going to be here as long as Injustice is here. And even then, we're going to build a museum where we're going to record what the battles of injustice has been down through our community from the days of Reconstruction to now. Reason why you don't have the real story is because we let other folk tell the story. If you allowed the cowboys to tell the story, the Indians was wrong. Don't read the Cowboys volume on the Indians. Don't read the segregationist story about Jim Crow. Who tells the story controls the narrative. And we keep letting the wrong folk tell our story. Let me congratulate Jamie Bland, who was inaugurated, I understand, sworn in yesterday. Jamie Bland for Deputy Mayor Patterson, New Jersey. Give her a big hand. And I think that Jamie's been our head of our chapter in Jersey, in Patterson. And I wanted to congratulate her. I also want to congratulate you. We had a very successful packed house Thursday night for legal night. First legal night since the holiday. And it was successful. You that came out for legal night, give Attorney Hardy a hand. One of the things I want us to not be confused about is that a movement, a civil rights movement, has to be multifaceted. So we do things, everything here from arts and culture to youth development to our technological labs, our tech lab in the back, and in our chapters around the country, to protests, to legal night. Got to deal with many areas because our people are multifaceted and our people have multiple problems. So when you become an active member, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. And I think that we need to really be real clear that everybody has a role to play. Everybody don't need to be on stage, but everybody needs to be involved. And I think that all of us, you need to ask yourself, what is my level of involvement? Let's welcome people watching all over the world now on Impact Television. And again, we are driving for membership. You only have a few more days this month. I'm trying to do it 100,000 in January. And you that need prayer, the prayer lines are open, 1-877-626-4651. Or that want to support the movement, 1-877-626-4651. Or go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Dr. Wyatt T. Walker passed this week. Wyatt T. Walker was one of the largest and one of the tallest trees in our community. He started and ended as a trailblazer and a historic figure. I was honored that Dr. Walker was the first chairman of the board of this organization. And let me tell you something, Reverend Walker, he started in Virginia. Dr. King and him hooked up because of his activism in Virginia. He became the chief of staff and first executive director of Dr. King's organization. Y.T. Walker was the executive director of Dr. King's organization during the March on Washington, where they did the I Have a Dream speech. He was executive director during the Birmingham movement that led to the Civil Rights Act of '64. The famous picture of Dr. King in jail looking out in a pensive move outside the bars. All of us have seen that picture. Y.T. Walker took that picture because he was his cellmate. And the lawyer snuck the camera in the jail. And Dr. Walker took the picture from the back of the cell of Dr. King looking out. He wasn't visiting, he was in jail with Dr. King in Birmingham. He was executive director all the way through the Nobel Prize winning. Then he came to New York and became the assistant pastor to Adam Clayton Powell at Abyssinia. Then went on and was called to pastor Canaan Baptist Church and was installed in 1967 by Martin Luther King. The last time Martin Luther King was in Harlem in March of '67 was to install Y.T. Walker as the pastor of Canaan. 2 weeks later, he was killed in Memphis. That is who Y.T. Walker was. He built housing here. He was the one that fought and got the Harlem State Office building. There would not be a Harlem State Office building if it wasn't for Y.T. Walker. Wrote over 30 books. Was a musicologist. We used to call him the Harlem Renaissance man. So it was because of this tremendous rich history that when he agreed, when we were just 2 years old, and he came in and said, I'll chair the board and structure it. Now, let me tell you something. You would rather swim the Atlantic than to have to deal with Dr. Walker's reprimand. He was hard on everybody. Jay will tell you, he took no shorts. And the bigger you were, the harder he'd crack you. But you do not have anyone that teaches you that are not hard on you. Some folk can't take hard teaching because a teacher is trying to mold and shape you, not trying to be your friend. Y'all like fans, not friends. A real friend will tell you when you're wrong. Real friend will correct you. A fan will go and co-sign everything you do and then go talk about you later. If you can't take correction, you will never be the best that you could be. And Dr. Walker said to me, he would always call me Mr. President. He said, I'm telling you, y'all are not organized. You have no structure. And he helped to structure NAN, structured the board, structured the staff. And it was an honor for me, even though it was, I used to see the number on the phone and wouldn't want to answer. Because I know, oh God, here comes something. But had he not done that, there would not be a National Action Network. And there would not be what we've been able to do, because he was saying your movement has outgrown your structure. And you cannot run a fleeting thing if you're going to survive through where you're trying to go. He said, I used to try to tell Martin that. You ought to be honored I'm talking to you about it. And he was an on-hands chairman when we were at Madison Avenue before the fire. He did not make an appointment. He'd come up the stairs and walk in my office unannounced. girl at the desk say, Dr. Walker, let me ring. I'm the chairman of the board. Just open the door. But he trained and molded. I don't care how big I got. If you so big, the folk that mentored you can't talk to you. Something wrong with you, not them. Jesse called me now, 6 o'clock in the morning. You don't get too big for your teacher. I go see my junior high school teacher now. Because if folk taught you, they must have known something and seen something in you before you saw it in yourself. Hello. Now, when they had the first elections in South Africa, Dr. Walker was the head of the American election observers. And he brought me with him as an election observer to Johannesburg. I remember when we landed, a bomb went off in the airport in Johannesburg. Because some of the Afrikaners, the white Afrikaners, did not want to see the elections. And Dr. Walker, the joke that the present chairman, who was vice chairman, Dr. Walker brought him into our movement, Reverend W. Franklin Richardson. Joke he always teased me about is it was about 23 ministers Dr. Walker took over as election observers. So I, was known, so I had gotten my ticket first class, going to Johannesburg, 17 hours. I got there and Dr. Walker was standing in the corridor there at Kennedy Airport. Mr. President, I've rearranged your seating, here's your ticket. I said, you did what? He said, I rearranged your seating. So I looked, I said, this is a coach ticket. Yes, you must ride in the back with the other preachers. I said, but Dr. Walker, that's 17 hours. You must ride with everybody else. And he put me in the center seat between two of the fattest preachers in the world. And for 17 hours, I'm crunched up in the middle of this seat. I got up, went to the bathroom. I got up and walked. Looked like that plane would never land. That's the last time I've been in coach in my life. But when we started to move against Diallo and started those 13 days where people were arrested, laying down in front of one police plaza, and former Mayor Dinkins went to jail, and Oscar Winter, Susan Sarandon, and others, Wyatt T. Walker went the first day and helped to organize all of that, and he wrote a book about it, one of his books. I could go on and on and on, but we are eternally grateful that the first chairman of the board, as long as there's a National Action Network, there will be the life and legacy of Dr. Wyatt T. Walker. They will have a memorial service of family in Virginia, and then the Harlem service, the Harlem Memorial, will be March 3rd at Canaan Baptist Church at noon. We're gonna walk we coming right out the rally going there March 3rd. We have his son with us this morning, Wyatt T. Walker Jr. He is nicknamed Jay. But he told me in honor of his father, he now is going to call himself Wyatt. And while we're on national television, I just want him, on behalf of the family, to say hello to the audience. The son of Wyatt T. Walker, Wyatt T. Walker Jr.
Thank you, Mr. President. God bless you all. I'm just here briefly to thank you for the love you have sent to my mother and my family, and the blessings you've sent for my father. You know, he got seriously sick about a month ago. We thought we were going to lose him. Your prayers and the Lord spared him. My daughter and I sat with him through the night. He was strong. He went at peace. He wasn't in any pain. He was the brave lion that he always was. And I want to personally thank Reverend Sharpton, his daughters, Kathy Sharpton. He loved Miss Alice, their grandmother. So we just want to let you know that He always told me when I visited him in Virginia, let the National Action Network family know I love him and I miss him. God bless you all. Thank you.
Wyatt T. Walker Jr. Now, let me say that one of the challenges of Wyatt Walker is that he was a social justice, prophetic liberation preacher by choice. What do I mean by that? One of the critiques of the day, we're going to deal with this at the National Action Network Convention in a couple of workshops. One of the critiques is I hear black intellectuals talk about the weakness of the black church. There is a whole school of thought that says the black church has lost its power. Now, the reality is that the black neighborhood has lost its power. And the erosion of black neighborhoods is what has led to the erosion of attendance in the black church. So you walk around Harlem or Bed-Stuy or Southside Chicago or West LA and say the churches are not as full as they used to be because the neighborhoods have changed. Nothing happened to the church, something happened to the neighborhood, and we let it become gentrified in our silence. How you gonna move black folk out and expect the churches to continue to have folk come when they're no longer there? I want you to watch this now. That's why Dr. Walker went into housing, because he saw this coming. And a lot of y'all didn't see nothing coming and have no plan and run around trying to gather folk that's left rather than ask, how did they get us out in the first place? That's why I tell you, a difference between Moses and those that accommodated Pharaoh. There were those that blessed the shackles, and then there was Moses who broke the shackles. That's what a lot of our preachers do. They bless you in slavery. Give you some diamond-studded chains. And you think you're doing better because you got polished chains on. You're a slave. Walker was part of the political awakening of the black church in a social justice gospel. When I was growing up in Brooklyn, New York, to my point, Jay Wyatt, is that you had Gardner Taylor at Concord Baptist. You had Rev. William Jones at Bethany. You had Reverend Sandy Ray at Cornerstone. You had Bishop F.D. Washington at Washington Temple. And you had Bridge Street, AME, all in the same community and all packed. Every one of them packed. Now, look at what packed them. The neighborhood, whether it was the brownstones or the multi-dwellings, were black. You up Stuyvesant Avenue, soul food restaurant, McDonald's. I ain't talking about Maccadee's where y'all go with Donald Trump. I'm talking about a black soul food restaurant. The neighborhood could support restaurants and could support major churches. Now that they have been gentrified and moved us out, if you look at the folk in the neighborhood, they're not folk that attend our churches. We used to be able to walk to the church because we lived in the neighborhood. Now they done fool you, gave you these bubble mortgages, got you out Long Island and Jersey. You can't drive in the church because they're landlocked and you don't have nowhere to park. And then they talk about the church is weak rather than that they flip the neighborhood on you. And many of our political folk did not fight the gentrification. Those that managed pension funds did not protect us from them using them to give developers money to push us out our own neighborhood. We finance our own removal. So what they call gentrification is Negro removal. All over the country. I go to Atlanta, they're moving you out. Chicago, moving you out. And as they move you out, your institutions become weakened. They leveled the housing projects in Chicago. One, because it also breaks up a block of black votes. So they can gerrymander, they can dilute your power. And it's done in broad daylight and you don't even understand what you're looking at. And then you get these intellectuals, the death of the black church. Well, why don't you talk about the death of the black neighborhood and the death of black intelligentsia? Oh, I'm gonna have a mean convention up here in April. Because we're gonna talk about that. How did we go? Let me get this right now. We got some that was here back in the day. How did we go from the black intellectuals in the late 60s and 70s when I grew up, who were debating whether it was nonviolent resistance or self-defense, whether it was where Malcolm talked about self-defense or Martin, that was the debate. Whether it was Franz Fanon, Wretched of the Earth, or some level of warfare, or whether it was the love ethic, that was the debate. Now y'all debating about each other. I mean, how do we get here? Ain't no intellectual debate. Y'all talk about each other. Do you like Cornel West or Ta-Nehisi Coates? So what? I mean, the intellectual debate don't come down to nothing. You got a bunch of black intellectuals, all that went to Ivy League white schools, interpreting black thought. Trained in white thought. Discussing black churches you ain't never attended. Critiquing movements you were never part of. It is the dumbing down of black America. Don't know your culture. Because they appoint people over your culture. Black culture was about excellence. Now they reduced it to debauchery. Black culture was to exalt us and inspire us with song and dance to show no matter what our conditions, we could perform excellent. Now they got you acting as low down as you can. I told him the other day, and I'll repeat it. How can a record executive go in his office and if he used the N word, H word, or B word in the office, he'd be fired now? And he should be. I'm all with the Me Too. But then in the same record company, the artist could go in the studio and use the N word, H word, B word and get a hit record. How do you get fired for what we sell and commercialize? If I had one of those exams, first thing I say is, well, wait a minute. If I can't say it in the office, then you can't say it to my people. When we started with the NAACP and others, bury the N-word, they assigned artists to attack us. Assigned them. Now those same artists calling us. saying they trying to dig up some mess on me. Because you become a result of the debauchery that you internalize. That a man sows, that shall he reap. Y'all know my mama grew up in Alabama. I'm from up north in Brooklyn. But I know one thing about farming. You can't plant watermelon seeds and get cantaloupe. What you sow, you gonna reap. And we've sown the breakdown and the dumbing down and the low values of our community. And we've scorned the values our grandmamas and mamas gave us, and now you in disarray where you brag about you don't talk to the elders. You got here last and know everything. I was talking with a preacher the other night. I said, well, have you talked to your pastor you grew up in? No, I talked to him old school, you know, it's a new thing. I said, but didn't he let you preach when nobody thought you knew what you was talking about? He had enough sense then. Didn't he put you on a platform when everybody said you should have been on the platform? He had enough sense then. But now you got your back straight and your gut feel he ain't smart enough for you. But you'll be back down there needing him for he'll need you. Because God is not mocked. That a man sow, he shall also reap. It ain't many Saturdays. And many times I preach, I don't mention Jesse Jackson and Bill Jones and Bishop Washington and Wyatt Walker. Because they did not have to invest in me. Didn't nobody owe you nothing. If somebody invested in you, the only return they're going to get is your respect. And if you're too low down to get that, wherever you are, you're going to fall. Everywhere in the Bible, they went to the elders. Africa, they go to the elders. But you hang out with other folk that got you against your own culture. It's against your culture. These entitled little kids, they glorify in fighting their parents. You ain't come out no entitled community. I told my daddy so-and-so, and I'm just so-and-so. Yeah, because you got you a trust fund. We had no funds. We had to trust in the Lord. You're a spoiled kid. We're struggling people. But some of us forgot what we struggled for and where we got to and why we got where we got. And the result are, in a time of gentrification, in a time of Negro removal, you end up with a real estate man who first time he was in the New York Times with him and his daddy was being sued for housing discrimination. He's the president of the United States. And he gonna finish the removal if you ain't careful. Oh, Grandma was just being extreme. Paper today, Ben Carson, Secretary of Hood said they want to take urban, the name urban out of Hood. Hello. They want to change the name from urban because you're dealing with a removal agenda. If they can break down and complete the breakdown of our community, it breaks down our political power because we don't vote as a block. It breaks down our ability to have businesses because you will not have an environment that will support you. It'll break down black churches. They are getting ready to disseminate you and spread you everywhere where you are powerless. And then those of us that speak for you, they call us the names. Well, you an opportunist. Absolutely. I got a degree in opportunism signed by Wyatt T. Walker and Jesse Jackson. I take every opportunity I can to fight for justice. I got a degree in opportunism, trained by opportunists. We take advantage of every opportunity to pull the veil off. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. You a media hound? Yes, sir. I try to get on every camera, every mic I can, and let them know what y'all doing to me. I'll get on a 7-year-old's Instagram if he can hold it up. I ain't trying to keep no secret what you do to me. I want the world to know. Go through 242 years of slavery. Go through 100 years of Jim Crow. Go through not being able to drink at a water fountain. Go through my mama growing up in the back of a bus. Had to pick cotton and couldn't get an education. Couldn't help me with my homework, and we built our way up, and you want me to be quiet about it? Well, you gotta let that go. No, it is a sense of why I do what I do. I ain't gonna let it go. It drives me to finish the journey and glorify God that brought me this far. Don't let go what God did for you. Don't let go the trials and tribulations that you've come through. Don't let go and forget the mountains that you climbed. Whatever mountain that you faced, God either moved your mountains or gave you the strength to climb. I ain't gonna let that go. I'm gonna tell everybody. Telling you they are engaging in social engineering and the breaking down of our communities. Because to break them down is to break down our institutions. And if you have no institutions, you have no structures to survive. And what the results are is you become dependent on others, which is another form of slavery in and of itself. Once your independence, that's what Operation Breadbasket was about, that Dr. King started, where I grew up. Once you lose the power of economic and institutional, be it church or education institutions, you therefore become dependent. The flip side of independence is dependence. Then they got to break down, because somebody wrote and told them that by 2040, that this will be a majority nation of people in color. Is that what they said? Yes, sir. So when you see all of this immigration stuff, and you run around talking about, oh, I agree with Trump on that, they're taking our jobs. It is a scheme to try and whitenize America. That's all it is. They ain't talking about nobody else other than blacks and browns. That's why he called African countries and Haiti and El Salvador S-hole countries. But why don't they bring people from Norway when you have more trade in the sub-Saharan Africa than in Norway? it is a racial policy. And they got some of y'all going black against brown, where they're taking our jobs. Taking what job? Last time we had black full employment is in slavery, and we didn't get paid. We've been doubly unemployed, the whites, since slavery, before any Mexican came across the border. Quit playing with yourself. Our problem is not each other. Our problem is those that manipulate us, including poor whites. Dr. King died trying to unite poor whites and Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and blacks, trying to do a poor people's campaign. That's why he came and talked about it when he installed his father in his last trip to Harlem. But you too new and cool to read what Dr. King said. You two under whatever, Reverend. That preacher got me hot the other night. I hope you're watching. You in the new school that ain't got one thought in the building. Got pastor studies with no books. Ain't studying nothing. It's a makeup room. Go in there and get your robe and your dress together, your suit together, to go out on stage and say nothing. Your people being removed. Your children locked in jails and unfair sentences. People in your congregation giving unfair mortgages. What are you preaching about? Don't play with God's people. Lead them or shut up and let some folk come that will. Well, Jesus put it this way. Say, Lord, I did all this. I did the what? Come in your kingdom. He said, yes, but I was hungry. And you didn't feed me. Yeah, you went to all the little prayer meetings, but I was naked. And you didn't clothe me. I was outdoors. You didn't take me in. When you've done this to the least of them, you've done it unto me. That's the book. Preach the book, Reverend. How you gonna, these evangelical preachers, how you gonna preach Jesus and talk about Trump is right on DACA? That, yep, we need to send folk out. Well, first of all, the DACA program are for people that were brought here under 16 years old, under no decision of their own with their parents, and grew up here. Went to school here, went to the military here. You're going to send them back a place they don't know nothing about. From a country that they helped build, pay taxes for, and work. In the name of they taking something from you you never had. Hello. And then you're going to get up, Reverend Evangelical, after preaching against those that came here and brought their children here for help, then you're going to get them preach the Good Samaritan. Why don't you read the Good Samaritan? Said that the man had been robbed and battered, laying by the side of the road. One man came by of his same religion, looked down at him. One man saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, running in his feet, speaking to all of that. But he walked by the man laying by the road. Another man came with means, could have helped him. Walked by. You'd have been sitting up there talking about bad neighborhood. Got to do something about crime. That's why we need police. But then Jesus said, this Jesus parable, said another man came by of a different race. Didn't have the same religious beliefs. And he looked down and he picked him up and he took care of him and went and paid for him to stay somewhere. Jesus called him the Good Samaritan. You don't believe in Jesus. You use Jesus to cover your own wicked way. You can't believe in Jesus and don't believe in helping folk. And helping folk that may not be like you, but are in need. And when you don't help folk, it don't say anything about them, it says something about you. Well, Reverend Al, people get on me. They had a special on this week on TV One about the Eric Garner case. And some folk, that's why Ashley Dominique tried to stop me from reading my tweets and stuff. Folks are tweeting me, well, why would you fight for a guy in the street selling Lucy cigarettes? Like somebody got to qualify to be a victim. I don't care what he was doing, you ain't got the right to choke him to death. You don't fight for proper victims. You got to have special people to be victims. Got to have the background you like and the pinky up and the proper. Well, Reverend, I don't deal with all kinds. You are all kinds. We dig in your nasty background and tell everybody who you really are. If God can forgive you, how you gonna judge somebody else? You might have sinned down south and then moved up north and tried to act like you somebody else, but you're the same person. And God forgave you. So you ought to stand for somebody else. Monique called me this week about they were giving her a different financial deal at Netflix. And I put out on Twitter that y'all leave Monique alone, talk about she too ghetto, she too hood. The issue is what we need to raise. I don't care what she is. She got an Oscar, she got an Academy Award. And if she has commercial value, she should be paid like any other man. If you don't like her behavior, don't watch the show. But that ain't the issue. The issue is equal pay for women and men. Well, Reverend, I just think they ought to act more proper. Proper like who? Madonna? I mean, tell me what's proper. We must return to the roots of who we are and fight the fight based on who and what we are and what the fight has been about, and stop letting people reinterpret us to divert and distract us from what we're supposed to be. That's what this is about. That's what Wyatt T. Walker taught us. An authentic calling rather than a commercial venture. You've commercialized the pulpit and bought you, but you won't last. Because everything that is not built on an eternal word will pass in a contemporary setting. That's why those, I love that sermon. One of them, Dr. Walker, used to talk about the power of decision. You got to decide at some point in your life what you stand for and who you stand with. Everybody can't stand with you if you stand for something. I was growing up, most folk in Brooklyn would not stand with the King movement. They were with other movements, thought we was whatever. But I stood anyhow. church I was going to was not political. My pastor, Bishop Washington, understood. A lot of folks talk about, oh, he done backslid. He out there in the world. But I had to get their kids jobs after a while because I stood for something. Somewhere I read that if men hate you, remember they hated me. But he went to the cross to show that you can conquer the crucifixion. If you are afraid of the crucifixion, you'll never make the resurrection. You can't get to your crown without your cross. You're trying to be popular rather than prophetic. And let me say this and I'll let you go. There is this whole thing, as I said, about those that tweeted me about Gardner and those that tweeted me about Monique, that you forget that life is an evolving situation. The only thing that don't grow is something that's dead. So whatever you see at one stage is not where they're going to be at another stage. And you cannot be afraid to let God grow you. And you cannot be ashamed of where he grew you from. Well, I knew you when. Yeah, you did. And look at what God did for me now. Throughout the Bible, God changed people. He changed the name, Abram to Abraham, Saul to Paul. He changes people. So you might have come up a rough way, but that don't mean that God can't smooth you out. Sometimes God needs ex-junkies to tell other folk how to get clean. Sometimes God needs ex-crooks to tell other people you ain't got to go that way. Don't stop me where you want in my life because I'm not finished yet. Be patient with me. God ain't through with me yet. And it ain't no new Al Sharpton, it's the evolution of the old Al Sharpton. Oh, I knew Al back when. He's changed. No, I grew. I'm the same Al Sharpton. I'm just grown up. I knew you when you was big and fat. I always knew there was a fine, slim me down there. I just had to carve and chisel till I got down to him. There is a new you in you. God gonna evolve you and grow you and make you to be who he brought you here to be. We come from a people that never stopped growing. Even in the bits of slavery, they would sing, there's a bright side somewhere. Ain't gonna rest till I find it. I'm not satisfied, Mr. Trump. I know you in charge, but you won't be in charge forever. I don't believe he brought me this far. I don't believe he broke the shackles of slavery. I don't believe he brought me from the back of the bus. I don't believe he brought me from no vote to Barack Obama in the White House. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me now. I won't stop. I won't back up. I won't back down. God is. God will. God does. I'm a living witness. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it this month as we sign up 100,000 new members. If you are in the auditorium and never joined National Action Network, hear us on the radio, see us on television, but never became a member, couldn't be a better Saturday than the last Saturday of January and our 100,000 member drive for you to come. Just walk down either aisle to me and join. You that are listening on radio, you can call and go to 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. If you're here today and want to join, come on down, come on right now. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. Yeah. All right. Moving quickly. All right, brother, come to join. Come on. I ain't closing the door without you. All right. Thank you. Bring them on, sign them up. All right. I'm going to raise our offering. Moving quickly. I want everybody to give to the best of their ability. We're moving quickly. Committees are meeting after. We're going to move quickly so they can go in their meetings. Next Saturday is the first Saturday of Black History Month. We're going to be doing a lot of Black history teaching in my messages every week. It amazes me how many of us don't know particulars in our history. And I want us to be well versed, particularly in movement history. We're also going to start signing up people for the convention. I already have many of our people that play a major role. This is the 50th anniversary year of Dr. King being assassinated. So this organization built in the spirit of Dr. King, chaired by his executive director. It's a banner year for us, so our convention is going to be off the chain. Already, our chapters, we've had about 4 conference calls since King Day with our chapter leaders. and we are ready and getting coordinated. If you haven't signed up, you need to sign up, because we got some real firepower stuff we're gonna be doing. It's April 18th through the 22nd at the Sheraton. And we want everybody to get up for the convention this year. I spent about an hour and a half. Some of y'all that follow me on social media know that I spent on Monday, I spoke at Ted's funeral at First Corinthian, who worked for many years with George Faison. And I knew well, and Oprah Winfrey and all of us spoke. And then I spent an hour and a half with Harry Belafonte, went to his house. And Harry and I talked about a lot. And he has some stuff that we're planning, he and I are gonna do together. And many of you know Harry was a big supporter of Dr. King. And we gave him the award last year at our dinner. And he called me about 3 weeks ago and kept saying, Reverend Al, I need to talk to you. Reverend Al, I need to talk to you. And I've been running. So I finally had made the appointment to see him Monday, and then Ted died. But I got out the funeral in time and went and spent an hour and a half with him, 91 years old. But if you look at the picture on social media, he's as buoyant and radiant and sharp-minded and clear. And he and I have a special project that we're gonna unveil in about a few weeks. But lot we're gonna do during this 50th year. Attorney Hardy and Minister Ford and I have been meeting Secretary General's office at the United Nations. Gonna be some stuff coming that Dr. King, 50 years later, needs to be underscored in a Kingian way. All right, I need everybody, glad to see Beverly Austin in the house. Been with us a long time. Glad to see Bertha Lewis snuck in the back of the bus. Stand up, Bertha, give her a big hand. I see you, stand up. There's one of our pioneers in Harlem. Give him a big hand. Stand up. Don't wave your, oh, you can't stand up, don't wave your hand. Sam, that's Sam Roberts, right? Take them Cool Breeze shades off so I know who you are. Got on his Cool Breeze shades and his breakdown hat. But he's one of the pioneers, him and Hannibal Ahmed and John Best and them, they were the forerunners in Harlem and broke the wall down. I come out of Brooklyn, they used to call me short fat boy. Listen, it's what we do up here. Don't apologize now. You gotta apologize till I ain't short and fat no more. All right, Sam Roberts, always glad when he dropped by. All right, let me raise our offering. I need everybody to do the best they can. I need about 10 people that can give $100 or more. Come quickly, I need about 10. Winston Gilchrist, $100. Sister Cynthia, $100. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Guardians, $100. The Walker family, $100. Y.T. Walker Jr. All right, give me some 50s, 50, 50, 50, 50.